In this video, I'll describe what is the portfolio diet and how it can lower your cholesterol, exciting results from the most recent studies and how portfolio points are calculated, and I'll also be showing you simple ways to include the portfolio diet into your routines. Hi, I'm Chung, an accredited nutritionist with a master's in nutritional sciences, here to share with you practical and science-backed nutrition to help you lower your cholesterol and improve your heart health. Let's start by understanding what is the portfolio diet. If you're familiar with the origins and basics of the portfolio diet, you could skip ahead to the next section where I discuss how portfolio points are calculated, as well as the most recent study results. The portfolio diet was introduced in 2003 by Dr. David Jenkins and his team, where the researchers already knew that soy foods, viscous fiber, nuts and seeds, and plant sterols could each independently lower LDL cholesterol. Their goal was to test whether combining these foods would amplify their effects, and they called this a dietary portfolio of foods, or what is now usually called the portfolio diet. In the first study from 2003, 46 adults with high cholesterol were assigned to one of three diets for 4 weeks: a low-fat control diet, the same diet plus a statin, or the portfolio diet. All foods except fruits and vegetables were provided to the participants who were able to follow the portfolio diet 94% of the time. After 1 month, LDL cholesterol dropped by 28.6% in the portfolio group, almost as much as the 30.9% reduction in the statin group. A larger and longer 2011 trial then followed 351 participants for 6 months. This time, individuals bought and prepared their own foods and were coached to follow the portfolio diet. In this group, participants reduced their LDL cholesterol by 13.8%, even though they were only able to follow the portfolio diet about 46% of the time. This showed that the LDL lowering benefits of the portfolio diet are dose dependent. That means the more portfolio foods you include, the greater will be the reduction in cholesterol. If you'd like more information on the details of these two studies, you could check out this video here, and I'll drop a link in the description as well. In 2010, the researchers expanded the portfolio diet by adding a fifth component, which are foods rich in monounsaturated fats, such as avocados, olive oil, and canola oil. The study showed that adding these fats preserved the diet's LDL lowering effects, while also increasing HDL, or the good cholesterol, by 12.5%. At the same time, it also reduced inflammation, measured by hsCRP, by 76.4%. These randomized controlled trials demonstrated how portfolio foods could lower LDL cholesterol. But do they reduce the risk of heart disease in the real world? Let's look at a couple of large cohort studies to help answer this. A 2021 study followed more than 123,000 women for 15 years and found that compared to lowest adherence, participants with the highest adherence to the portfolio diet had an 11% lower risk of cardiovascular disease. A 2023 study tracking over 200,000 people for up to 30 years confirmed this finding. That is, people who had the highest adherence to the portfolio diet had a 14% lower risk of cardiovascular disease. These findings also showed a clear dose response. For every 25% increase in portfolio food intake, there was a reduction in heart disease risk by about 8%, including risk for both heart attacks and strokes. What that means is that even small steps, like adding nuts, tofu, or overnight oats, could help move you into a lower risk category. Before I discuss how you could implement the portfolio diet and measure the effectiveness of your diet with a portfolio diet score, if you're enjoying this video so far, help me hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons and turn on the notifications. You could also check out this other video where I went into more detail on the 2023 study that I just discussed. How would you know how well you're following the portfolio diet? To do this, the researchers developed a portfolio diet score, which allows you to track your adherence to the diet and predict its benefits. The portfolio diet score assigns points based on your intake of 5 key food categories: plant protein from soy and legumes, viscous fiber from sources like oats and barley, nuts and seeds, monounsaturated fats from plant oils and avocados, and phytosterols primarily from fortified foods or supplements. You would assign 0 to 5 points to each of the 5 categories to obtain a maximum of 25 points per day. What could give you 1 portfolio point? 1 point could be obtained from, for example, 100 grams of firm tofu or half a cup of canned chickpeas for plant proteins, 3/4 cup of dry rolled oats or 2 cups of cooked barley for viscous fiber, 1 tablespoon of most nuts and seeds, or 2 teaspoons of any plant oil that is high in monounsaturated fats, such as olive oil, canola oil, or soybean oil. Phytosterols would need to come primarily from fortified foods or supplements, with any source that provides 400 mg of phytosterol being one portfolio point. In this way, you could calculate the cholesterol lowering potential of any meal that you put together, and I'll show you how this could be done later in the video as well. But before I go into that, it would be amazing if you could help me by sharing this video with someone who would benefit from learning about foods that could help them lower their cholesterol. Based on the portfolio diet scores, what new research has been conducted on the portfolio diet? This first study analyzed data from over 14,000 US adults followed for 22 years, and is the first study to assess how the portfolio diet affects the risk of dying rather than just developing heart disease. On top of reducing heart disease risk factors as shown in previous studies, this study showed that compared to lowest adherence, highest adherence to the portfolio diet was associated with a 16% lower risk of dying from a heart disease and a 14% lower risk of dying from any cause. While previous cohort studies had an overwhelmingly Caucasian representation, this second new study looked at data from over 1,500 younger participants that included 45% East and South Asians. The study found that greater adherence to the portfolio diet was not only associated with lower LDL cholesterol, it was also associated with lower systolic and diastolic blood pressure. In addition, participants who had the lowest and highest adherence were in fact only following the portfolio diet 6% and 27% of the time respectively. The researchers estimated that if the participants with lowest adherence could increase their portfolio food intake to 50%, they could delay the onset of an increased risk of having a heart attack by about 6 years. And with 100% adherence, this risk could be delayed by 13 years. This could mean not worrying about a heart attack at 55 years old and delay the concern until you're 68 years old. So, how can you implement the portfolio diet? Before I go into that, since you've made it this far, why not help me by sharing in the comments which portfolio foods do you already eat regularly? Now that we understand the science, let's discuss how to practically implement the portfolio diet into your daily routines. The portfolio diet score ranges from 0 to 25 points, with 5 points allocated to each of the 5 food categories of the portfolio diet. Achieving the full 25 points would be initially challenging, and for most clients, I usually recommend targeting 10 to 15 points as a starting goal. This represents about a 50% adherence, which is already much higher than the highest adherence rates of 20 to 30% in the studies that we have looked at. Starting with breakfast, prepare a bowl of overnight oats. My usual recipe is to use 1/4 cup of rolled oats with 1 tablespoon of chia seeds. I'll then add half a cup of unsweetened soy milk, cover and pop it in the fridge to soak overnight. In the morning, I'll add one type of fruit high in viscous fiber, which could be 100 grams of blueberries, and I'll add 2 types of nuts. For example, I could use 1 tablespoon of almonds and 1 tablespoon of walnuts. This bowl of oatmeal would give you 4 portfolio points even before you leave the house. If you're eating out near your workplace for lunch, this might be the most challenging meal of the day to hit portfolio points, but it will still be possible. The economy rice store is usually the best option, and you could primarily target soy dishes and vegetables high in viscous fiber. For example, order 1 serving of firm tofu and add on 1 serving of okra or eggplant. Just make sure that the amount of okra or eggplant is at least the size of your fist, if not more. Pack 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed from home that you would sprinkle onto your rice, and bring along 1 orange as well. This lunch would then give you a total of 3 portfolio points. For your afternoon snack, you could bring along 100 grams of shelled edamame or 1 big fistful of about 30 grams of dry roasted edamame, and that would add 1 more point to your daily goal. For dinner, measuring with a rice cooker cup, cook in a rice cooker half a cup of pearl barley together with 1/4 cup of dry soybeans, and stir fry 1 medium eggplant in 4 teaspoons of canola oil. When the grains are ready, sprinkle 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed over the grains and have an apple for dessert. Together, this meal will give you 6.25 portfolio points. With 4 points from breakfast, 3 points from lunch, 1 point from your afternoon snack, and 6.25 points from dinner, we will have hit a total of 14.25 portfolio points, or 57% of the 25-point target. At this level of adherence, you could expect a reduction in LDL cholesterol of between 10 to 20% over a few months, and more importantly, a meaningful reduction in your long-term heart disease risk. Just a note, it is important to take baby steps and start slowly, especially if you're not used to eating a lot of high fiber foods. For example, start with breakfast and let your body adjust before adding in more portfolio foods for the rest of the day. Remember that healthy aging is a marathon and not a sprint, so build your healthy habits one step at a time and adjust based on what works best for your lifestyle and preferences so that they can become a sustainable routine for you. That's exactly what I help my clients with. And if you'd also like to discuss how you could start implementing the portfolio diet in a way that's personalized to your lifestyle, click on the link in the description and sign up for a free strategy session. In the meantime, check out these other videos where I explain how you could use various foods to reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease. See you in the next one.